So I'm going to talk about the upcoming expedition to the Bouvet Island, which is kind of far away from everybody. Even our DX friend from India that is on the channel right here with us. It's coming up on January of next year, January 6, 2023. It's actually the day we set on the ship. It's a set date. Anything that we're really looking forward. So what exactly is it? Well, I mean, you guys in New York, it's roughly about 8,000 miles away. I mean, I'm only right now about 1,500 miles away from you guys. Out of Europe, 8,000, 10,000 miles out of Tokyo. And actually, the shortest piece of land would be Antarctica, which is about 1,000 miles, but we don't want to go there. So our shortest actual livable area will be Cape Town, which is roughly about 1,600 miles. So it's kind of far away. It's the remotest island in the world. And there's actually been more people to space than people have been to the island. So just to give you an idea of how far away and how difficult getting to it. It's a Norwegian territory. It was discovered back in 1739 by the French Jean-Baptiste Charles Bouvet, a French explorer. And in 1927, that's when the Norwegians first set foot on it, and they claimed it for their own. It's about 93% covered by snow and ice. There's a big glacier, as you can see in the picture. That picture is actually from Nadir, Echo Yankee 8, Mike. He was part of 3 Yankee 0 Zulu expedition attempt in 4 years ago. Average is about 300 storms a year. Sometimes the wind gusts up to 100 miles. It's volcanic island, highest peaks about 780 meters, roughly about the size of half the size of Manhattan. And along with the other Norwegian overseas territories, such as Peter Island, Jan Mayen, and Svalbard. So there's nothing there except for penguins and seals. And no humans, no nothing. There used to be a research weather station that was set up by the Norwegians roughly about 20 years ago. It's not there anymore, so it kind of disappeared. So where is it ranked on the list? If you look at back in 1979, 43 years ago, it was ranked number 1, most wanted DXCC. So it has taken 43 years just only to bump it up one little step. So it's right now it's number 2. So we really can't say it's hardest and most sought after expedition. I mean DXCC, but it's definitely up there. If you compare it to North Korea, I mean you can get to North Korea on a plane, but the problem there is the permit. Here it's the other way around. Permit is okay, but the challenge is to get there and the logistics and all that others. A couple of the other previous activations. First one being in 1977 by 3 Yankee 3 Charlie only had 28 QSOs. The one, 1989, 3 Yankee 5 X-ray was probably the biggest expedition. That's 33 years ago with 47,000. The most recent one that was very important was 2001, 3 Yankee 0 Charlie by Chuck Brady, N4 BQW. He's passed away now, but he was there on a mission with the Norwegian Polar Institute for 3 months, and he was able to make some QSO. And funny thing to point out, if you can look at the picture on the right side, see those 2 people there on the beach? That's actually the same spot that we plan to land on Bouvet Island, on the south shore of the island. And if these people in 1977 were able to do it, we feel pretty confident that's something that can definitely be done. So we're looking forward to being there and being on the air and make this operation happen. So right now it's Club Luck's number 2 most wanted. We're going to be a team of 13 operators. Couple of Norwegian leaders, which are the ones running the operation, most of it. And many of these gentlemen are, they're experienced DX-peditioners. They've been to many IOTAs. They've been to all islands and stuff like that. Hardcore CW guys, contester guys. So we're definitely looking forward to giving you a great bang for your buck, essentially. What we're going to plan is to travel. It will take about 10 days to 2 weeks, roughly, out of Stanley in the Falkland Islands. And the reason we leave out of Falkland is because we're going to go with the wind on our back and with the currents on our way. So that's definitely, even though it's a little bit farther, but with the winds and the currents, that's the plan. Plan is to be on the island for roughly about 21 days, weather permitting. So that's, I think, 21, 28 days. That's roughly our estimate to be able to be in the air. And then we're looking for about another journey, about a week to 10 days up to Cape Town. A total of 8 stations going to be on the air, available for CW and SSB. And also, we're going to have 4 stations to be dedicated to FT8. So I always say to the people that ask me, hey, how can I get on the log? What I would recommend is start practicing FT8. And then hopefully definitely, have a better chance with the 100 watts to a wire, maybe we'll listen to you. So, and our goal is 200,000 QSOs. So it's very ambitious. And We believe that having the FT8 station definitely get us to where we wanted. We originally had a goal about 100,000, but things are getting busier. We got more people in the crew and we got more radios available and equipment. So definitely our goal is for 200,000. There was actually a recent talk at Dayton this year, and they said that the expeditions like this, if you incorporate FTA, you can have about 30% more QSOs per operation. So that's better bang for your buck. It's supported by the Northern California DX, Indexa, and even for Northern California and Indexa, this is their biggest donation ever. Northern California is sponsoring with $100,000. Indexa is sponsoring with $15,000, I believe. This is part of the team that's going. The 3 Norwegian leaders: Ken, LA7GIA, Rune, LA7THA, and Air1 LB1QI, and some of the other operators that are going to be on this trip. Some of them have been to many other exotic places as well. So we're really looking forward. And we also have one team member who's not a ham radio operator. His name is Pete, and he's our Antarctic and Arctic polar landing consultant. Been to Arctic, Antarctica. He's over 25 years of experience in landings and things like that. So he's the one overseeing the operation and making sure everything's able to do it. He was also the one that found the ship, and he spent 4 days back in April doing the on-site inspection of the ship that we're going to be using. So making sure that everything's planned. We know how we're going to do our storage, our landing, that kind of stuff. So all the logistics and stuff. So this is the ship that we're going to use. It's the Marama. It's about 100 feet long ship. It's a refurbished all aluminum ship with 12 years of sailing expeditions. And normally it's a ship that would do the touristic trips out of Ushuaia, Argentina, and it will go down to Antarctica. And that's what it does usually during the 3 months of summer down there. And then what it does is goes up and does the northern passage over to up the Atlantic and then down through Alaska and then comes down. So, but this year they decided to cancel the trip. So it's being refurbished and being maintained in Brazil right now. We put up in service again, maybe sometime in October, November to start doing some tourist season. And then in January, that's when we get on the ship. After we drops us off in Cape Town, it's going to be going to Ascension Island, Zulu Delta 8. So I'm not sure if it's a ham radio trip, but that's the way it wants. That's the scheduled trip. So it's a very experienced crew. It's 3 to 5 crew people that's going to be taking care of us. The ship's got heating, it's got the accommodation, so it's equipped for our trip. So this is a picture of Bube. So you can see on the upper left, that's where the weather station used to be at. 3 Yankee Zero Juliet. What we plan to land is in Cap Fii. When they're doing the research, consulting with the Norwegian Polar Institute, would it be possible to make a landing? Previously, expedition attempted to do a helicopter landing. They went through all their charts, their information, all the intel, and they said, yes, it's possible. And this is the place where you want to be at. So this is basically what it looks like in Cap Fii. On the right side, you see there's a beach there and then the cliff. And on top of here on the left side, that's where the cliff. This is a view from a helicopter on top with the antennas where they will be pointed and all tents are going to be located. It's mostly flat, sort of a little bit of a hilly there. And that's essentially where we have to camp. You can see on the left side is the glacier. We believe that this picture, it's probably about 10 years old, maybe a little bit more. We believe that the glacier on the left side should be receding a little bit. So we should have more available space to put of our equipment. So essentially, this is the beach, another view. And this is essentially what the camp would look like if you were to think about where our antennas and where things are going to be set up. This is a schematic of essentially what bringing on. I mean, we're going to be running power, having 8 stations, all the logistics, it's a big endeavor. So a lot of detail has been put into the filters, to the logistics, to be able to make sure that we don't fix stuff. We don't have no ham radio outlet in Bouvet. So in case you need a connector, it's going to be kind of hard if you forgot one at home. But we want to make sure we plan this so that we're very efficient and we can do our job. Now, the good thing that we have here with the radios that we have selected are going to be the Elecraft K3S, and those are going to be used for CW and phone. And we're going to use the Sun SDR radios for FT8. So we can have one operator running 4 FT8 signals, or we can have a regular operator, let's say running, CW on 20 meters or something. And then on the same computer, he can have a screen and work FT8 on a different band or on the same band. So the idea is to have one operator operating 2 radios simultaneously. So we definitely should be able to reach our, our QSO count. If you guys are out there to listen to us, and hopefully by next year, propagation should get a little bit better as we get into the solar cycle. This is another schematic of the details with all the filters. We're going to be using for Oscar 3 Alpha high power filter systems. Those are used mainly on multi contest stations. We also, this is on the left side, our antenna site plan. Receiving antenna will be the one furthest out, about 250 meters outside. And then as we come in, this is where we have all of our main Yagis, and then our sleeping quarters, social operating tents, generators, all this stuff. And then after that, we'll have some of the Yagis that we're going to be using. Some of the ones that you could see here on the right side made by Wemo Innov Antennas out in Europe. And these were specifically, we asked them to make them, stronger. We believe that we're going to be having some winds there. And so the idea was for them to reinforce the antennas and to make them sort of weatherproof. We're also bringing some spare in case we have to repair or do some other things like that. So the radio is, K3S, it's a proven DX-pedition radio. I mean, honestly, it's lightweight, packed with stuff, and it's a powerhouse. And some of them are being loaned by Elecraft company itself, so we thank them for that. But we also have some that are being loaned by regular people that decided to give us a hand and support us in our trip. We're also going to be using the SB Expert amplifiers these are, again, rock solid, heavy duty stuff made in Italy. They're each about only 20 pounds each. We had some coming in from Italy, and we also had some being loaned by a remote ham radio team. So we definitely, this is back in, I don't know, maybe February of this year, we're getting our amplifiers. And the funny thing is that RHR, they changed to Flex, their amplifiers. So they had all of these, we got them, we sent them to the factory, they got refurbished, we manufacture, and those are the ones that we're putting on the container. Brand new computers altogether, brand new, which are going to be using the N1 mic software, also the WSJT software for FT8. It's going to be synced, and with this is what we're going to be using log updates and communications with all the other back with civilization. Very important donations are interfaces, also Rig Expert antenna analyzers. Funny thing, these are out of Ukraine, and we got them roughly right before the country got invaded. So it was a very nice gesture from them. I don't know if they're still open or what's the deal going on, but really appreciate the way they've supported us. I mean, this is the best analyzer out there. So now another thing that we're going to be using for time syncing FT8, you have to make sure that clock is synced. Otherwise, you're going to be able to hear anything. And being out there, normally when you're at home, you can connect to the internet, you could sync time like that. But here, we're going to be using essentially the satellites to be able to calibrate our times to make sure that we'll be able to operate correctly. Also, we're going to be using ICOM sat phones. We have some of them. They're going to be on the ship. They're going to be aboard, and also with our pilots we're going to tell, they're coming out with an announcement coming up recently. So we thank also the people from ICOM for their donation. So we're not going to leave anything for chance. I mean, everything gets tested. Every single item, it's going to be tested. Everything's going to be eye-coded, color-coded. We have to make sure that everything is properly. We're also even staging our landing. So even if we get, let's say, an hour opening and we're able to do 4 boat trips with equipment, that'll be enough to have maybe one station on the air with enough food for a couple of days so we can get the other. Even if weather doesn't cooperate, we should start to build up. It'll take probably 2 or 3 days while we get our camp into full power, but definitely like that. On the left side, there's Rune and Ken testing out some of the verticals up in Oslo in the wintertime. On the one in the middle, where they're testing a Zodiac assistant device that they're designing to be able to pull in the Zodiac into land and to be able to pull it out to sea so we can help with the waves. And on the right side, you see a little tent that we're going to be using up out in there. So it's being tested. These are actually tents are made in Norway. Most of the items that it's locally sourced over there, and these are like reinforced, heavy-duty, winter-proof equipment. So DX Engineering, very thankful for them. I mean, they're giving us the 160, 80, 30, and 40-meter verticals. Picture on the bottom, they were being tested by KO7SS out in Arizona. He set them up, color-coded them, and in April, we got them shipped over to Norway. So essentially, we're going to be having 4 tribanders. They're going to be pointing to Asia, Europe, North America. We're going to be using two-element FLARC antennas for 12 and 50 meters. Also the 4Oscar3 Alpha equipment, a vertical on 40, vertical on 30, and full-size antenna on 180, and a top-loaded vertical antenna for 160. We also have wires, spare parts, and things like that, just in case. Our generators are going to be the Hyundai DX-7600. These are heavy-duty generators. Originally, we had a contract with Yanmar, which is a Japanese company, but last minute we had to make a change, and then the team decided to cancel that order and get these Hyundai. And this is probably the biggest challenge because they're about 260 pounds. So trying to get them up the cliff and all that, it's going to be a little challenge. What they're devising and they're testing is kind of like a pulley levy system that we're going to install on the cliff, and then with that we'll be able to pulleys in, and with electric motor and stuff be able to bring these things up the cliff. So this is going to be the fun part. This is a picture of in Norway back in April 2020. We had a team meeting there. We tested the antennas. This is Lima November 8 Whiskey, which is the biggest station in Norway. And then we're testing out the equipment, just making sure that things will go through and make it happen. Some of the other pictures, setting up the antennas, setting up the radios, all this other, this is the only way to make sure that we're not missing anything, essentially. Now, 2 weeks ago, actually, we got the generators, and we wanted to test them out, see how they work. It's 4 of them that we're going to be using, in total about 20 kW in power. So we'll definitely we'll be ready. And they're trying to build, this is how they're building the housing, essentially, that we have to keep them dry and keep them noise protected and all of that stuff. Now, take a very close look at the leg. It's even labeled leg. So we're going to build this on the island. We just have to make sure that we don't, we were very quick at doing this. Hopefully we should be fine. This is some of the tables that we're going to be using to contain, we're going to put them on top of this to contain any fuel if there's any accident and things like that. Now remember that Bouvet is a protected land, so we really can't leave anything there. And that includes absolutely everything. We cannot leave anything there. So this is essentially what they were testing, just 2 weeks ago, trying to make it happen. Testing the tents again. One's going to be our operating tent. The other one's going to be our social with food, table, rest area, and stuff like that. Now that barbecue in the middle, I don't know. I don't think that's going to be in Bouvet. That's just the guys just having fun. This is what the Bouvet Hilton's going to look like once we set up on the Highland. Plus we also have our air mattresses and all of our winter sleeping bags and things like that. So we'll be able to try to sleep as comfortable as we can, as we're going to need that very well rest. So our current budget is $690,000. You can see, it's a very big endeavor. Right now, we're about 90% funded. So we feel like we're in pretty good shape when we get there. Each operator has to put 20,000 to get in that only counts just the expedition part. Now you also have to consider getting all the gear, winter gear, sleeping bag, travel expenses, going to Norway in April, coming back, and then all that other stuff. Northern California, as I said, largest donation, 100,000, 15,000 by Indexa. Most of the equipment, most of this budget is to cover the ship. The ship alone is roughly about half of that budget. We have a lot of equipment sponsors: DX Engineering, Innov Antennas, Wemo Spider-Man, Messi and Paloni. They're giving us, I think it's about 3 miles worth of cable, something like that. Expert amplifiers, silicon, and also, clubs such as DX clubs and individuals like yourself. So we really thank you for the opportunity for us to be here. It's some of our sponsors as well. And it's really, it's not, we can only do this with your support. So that's what our plea to be able to complete our budget. So big thanks to you guys. Thank you, Fairlawn Club, for the opportunity. These are our guys having some beer there while we're, while they're doing the testing.